Welcome everyone to the start of a brand new IndyCar World Championship season. The Verizon Champ Car World Series is here on ABN. The first 24 races here, it is the Albert Park Straight Circuit playing host with the Heineken Grand Prix of Melbourne. Welcome everyone to your coverage of the IndyCar World Championship all season long, from Australia to Indianapolis to Fontana, California, and everywhere in between. We're glad you're with us here. If you're in the U.S., good morning. If you're here in Australia, good afternoon. Good evening to those over in Europe. A lot of fun to be had here today. So let's dive into it. A lot of talking points going into this event. The debut of Dodge, bringing their flat six twin turbocharged engine platform. 5 cars running Dodge engines in this event. Arrowhead Racing and Phantom Motors, both running Dodge powertrains here, beginning in Melbourne. They're not the only ones that are new with something here technological. Chevrolet has come in with a V4 twin turbocharged format for their engines after spending 5 years with the turbocharged V8, seen also in the Chevrolet Corvette sports car. An increase of cars. 26 were here last year. We have 28 among 12 teams this year to contest a 24 race calendar. Of those 28 cars, there's only 2 new Champ Car World Series rookies, and they're at the front of the field. It's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out here in Australia. Another huge talking point, a very important talking point, especially amongst the teams and the drivers, the new points format. Prior to this season, from 2000 to 2024, if you started the race, you scored points to some degree. Race winner scored 50, second place scored 40, third place scored 35. It cascaded down until you got to 26th, and everyone between 26th and 33rd scored 5 points. That's gone now. Now it is top 15 score points. 25 for the race winner, 20 for second, 16 for third, 13 for fourth, 11 for fifth, and in sixth down to 15th, scoring 1 point, decreasing from 10 to 1. If you're 16th to 28th, no points on offer for you unless you can lead a lap, get pole position, or lead the most laps. Those bonus points still intact for the 2025 campaign. It's a jumbled up field. It's a brand new season. Everyone getting their bearings. New Firestone compound tires also in the fray. So everyone having to find their legs here in California. The starting grid looks a little bit like this. Karina Sakurauchi, the rookie from the Challenger Series last year to the World Series for Team Impulse this year, immediately making good on Team Impulse's desire to win here at Melbourne in back-to-back years. Thomas Rogers in that 2 car won this race last year. Sakurauchi in that same car, front of the field, pole position, alongside her teammate BK Glover for a Toyota lockout for Verizon Team Impulse. However, that Rookie of the Year conversation, it's already tight. Ludwig Motorsports' Caitlin Chiaro in row 2 alongside Kinemitsu Kinoshita. Nicole Lechty and Steffi Porticelli, a pair of former world champions, in row 3 together. They're the highest qualifying Chevrolet engines as well. That is important to note. This time last year, they were struggling to get out of Q1. Now they are not only in Q3, but challenging for pole positions on the offset. That's an important metric to sort of measure here. Alicia Kovalkiewicz, the best qualifying Dodge on the field, in 7th, alongside another former champion of the series, Hazel Leon for Cat Devil Racing, in 8th. So it's Autosport. Its return to the top flight in a full-time capacity sees its first emergence in the top 10. Simona Leroux, with the Red Bull sponsorship, in 9th alongside Escuderia Gilos Maria Chavez, Escuderia Aguila, earned promotion from the Challenger Series last year with 2 cars. Chavez making good on that promise to try to bring points to the team early with those Ford engines behind the driver's seat. Missing out on Q3, Cameron Jackson qualified 11th alongside the reigning IndyCar national champion Rachel Koivuniemen. Sakura Ishibashi sits in row 7 alongside the returning David Wessel, now driving for Highlight Racing. His teammate Nicole Lecty further up the field, but Highlight Racing still getting the feel for things here with that V4 Chevrolet powertrain. We'll see how things move for the 27 as this race progresses. Artyom Kozlov, the odd one out for Verizon Team Impulse, sitting down in 15th spot while her teammates are in the front row. Catherine Hart in row 8 sits alongside a lot of home fans rooting for the 31 and the 34 in this race, especially the 31, Catherine Hart, being from Australia. This is her home country. Elise Alexander sitting in row 9 alongside Astra Crane. Wyatt Jones and Siri Lundqvist sit in row 10 to round out your top 20. Wyatt Jones just barely making it out of Q1, but not having any competitive times to go through Q2 here. Starts 19th. And the final 8 that you see here, Brad Neri back on the grid with Swift Autosport, one of the row, well up the order. Brad Neri sitting down in 21st alongside, that is not supposed to be Cameron Jackson in the running order. Shufa J. Natalia Kurachenko sitting in row 12. Not supposed to be Natalia Kurachenko either. This graphic is all sorts of wrong. So give us a second here. So let's give that another go. Let's look at the final 4 here. Now that it is in the correct order here, very important to have this all lined up here. Atomic Autosport is a huge talking point coming out of qualifying. Natalia Vulicevic in the 8th play in number 8 machine, qualifying in 21st. Evangeline Porter, the defending IndyCar World Champion, qualifying 22nd, failing to make it out of Q1 here in Melbourne. That was the biggest shocker from yesterday in qualifying. Andrew Draco and Shufan Zhang in row 12. Neither of them happy with qualifying either. Brad Neri in row 13 alongside the returning Oliver Germain. Germain, a multi-time Champ Car race winner. His first race back here in Champ Car equipment in 11 years. He qualifies 26th, not where he wants to be, but a learning experience. These cars have evolved since the last time he was in a Champ Car machine. He missed an entire generation of Champ Car racing, but he'll start 26th for this new journey. Isabel Espinoza, far from her teammate Maria Chavez, who qualified top 10. She sits in the last row of the field here in row 14 alongside Matthias Michelin, who qualifies at the very tail end of the field after having a spin in qualifying. And with that being said, it is almost time to fire up the engines. So let's set a trackside for those most famous words in all of motorsports to kick off this World Championship campaign.
Drivers, start your engines!
You heard the command to fire engines. It is time to get underway here. The first of 24 races in the Verizon Champ Car World Series season. Dodge Charger Super Bee, the safety car for the campaign. But it is Toyota on the front row. 28 cars, one ambition. 58 laps here around Albert Park. Pace car is in. Green flag flies. We're underway. The Grand Prix of Australia is green. And immediately, it's the rookies that go 1-2. Sakurauchi and Chiaro go first and second. Glover down to third. Everyone gets to the opening corners successfully. 3 wide further back. As Michelin tried to make moves from last on the grid, they fan out. Heavy into the braking zone here. Trying to get around Andrew Draco. That was the 97 of Lundqvist, that yellow machine. Side by side with Natalia Velicevic. But it looks likely that we are going to be through the first lap under grain down this long strafing straightaway to turns 9 and 10. It is the rookies first and second. The Academy Series champion, Caitlin Chiaro, in the 15 for Lubbock Motorsports. Grabbed an amazing qualifying effort as the team struggled on Saturday. And now on the heels of her Rookie of the Year competitor, her rival, the Challenger Series driver from last season, Karina Sakurauchi. But they are sitting first and second, Glover in third, ahead of Kinemitsu Kinoshita. There is Nicole Lechty. Stefan Porter-Kelly is also in the conversation in this top 10. Lechty tried to cut it tight there in turn 1. It did not work out. We'll lose several spots on the run. Porter-Kelly, Kovalkiewicz, and Leon all trying to battle back. And again, Lechty just being absolutely sent to the nightmare portal in the first half of lap 2, losing several spots in succession. Chiaro been passed by Glover, back for second. Team Impulse won here last year. It was that 2 car driven by Sakurauchi that was victorious. Glover looked good here in Melbourne as well. Chiaro right in the tire tracks of Glover, approaching turn 9. It will not be easy here in Melbourne. Primary compound tires on display. Not as grippy as what we saw with the alternates last year, but more robust, given the experience that Firestone had last year after using both compounds for the doubleheader event that we had in 2024. There is the 50 of Simona Leroux, center of your screen, that Red Bull machine, moving forward. Dive positions there. That was Leroux trying to get around Cameron Jackson. No dice. Side by side, that is Kozlov and Ishibashi, former teammates. Further down the running order ahead of the reigning IndyCar National Champion, Rachel Koivu. And then you have the 30 of Elise Alexander. Catherine Hart, local driver with the most support here in this race, not having the greatest start, sitting 17th ahead of Wyatt Jones. Wyatt Jones already up 1 spot in this race. And you have Astrid Crane just behind there in the 19th spot. Siri Lundqvist down to 20th. Everyone fanning through here. A little bit of a battle further forward. Teammates Kinoshita and Leon drag race down into turn 1. I think Kinoshita's going to outbrake here. Yes, she does. And here comes Lechty back around as well. Leon will lose a spot down to 8th place. Goes Leon with pressure now from Maria Chavez for Escuderia Aguila. Cameron Jackson sitting top 10 ahead of Leroux. As we hit the ebb and flow stage already here on lap 4. Everyone now getting into a groove here in Melbourne. Phenomenal crowd on hand here for the season opener. This is a battle for fourth between Kovalkiewicz, Kenosha, and Lechty. Sorry, this is further down the order. This is for fifth. Because you see Porter Kelly's moved up into the third position. Chiaro tried to make a move on Sakurauchi there. No dice through that braking zone. You got to try to catch Sakurauchi off guard. Sakurauchi, one of the latest of the late breakers. We saw that on display in the Challenger Series in 2024. When you have dirt track racing experience, you have precision on your side, and Sakurauchi has that in spades. Showed that last year in glimpses of her first open wheel campaign. The team believed in Sakurauchi, promoted her into the number 2, while Thomas Rogers went over to race in the Cup Series. And here you go. Kenosha side by side with Kovalkiewicz. For that fifth spot, Kovalkiewicz holds on. Very impressed with the rookies, though. The rookie class last year, it was a bit rough with Catherine Hart and Julia Takani going through some of the teething pains that comes with the jump up to 800 horsepower. But here we are. Chiaro from the Academy Series champion last year. Now having to be tasked with keeping a 3-time world champion at bay. Takes a look to the inside there, Sakurauchi. Sakurauchi again, late breaks, and doesn't even give Chiaro the opportunity. Doesn't even open the window. But Chiaro a lot quicker this lap, especially in the final half of the lap. Let's see how that sets up down the front straightaway. Oh, this could be a good shot here for Chiaro. Ooh, slows up both of them, and here comes Porter Kelly. Chiaro tried to outbrake, slowed both of them up, and Porter Kelly, the veteran, the opportunist, said, "Thank you, I'll take that." But here comes Chiaro right back inside turn 4. No dice. Porter Kelly outside lane, sweeps around, and here comes Glover looking to move back into the podium places. He has lost 2 spots on the start. Lost out to Chiaro on lap 1. Got it back briefly and then lost it again, and then lost out to Porter Kelly, who is now up to second and charging forward for Striker Motorsports. Meets Kenosha, sitting in the 6th position, ahead of Alicia Kovalkiewicz. Nicole Lechty sitting in 7th, ahead of Hazel Leon. Then there's a gap all the way down to Simona Leroux, who has moved up into the 9th spot, as they grab positions from each other here. And something has gone amiss with Maria Chavez, because Chavez is now down, well down the order. No damage on that 26 car. Reporting an off track, though, for the 26, or sorry, for the 27 of Chavez. That now puts her behind that Assyria Lundqvist in that Nesquik yellow submarine. Wyatt Jones on the heels of Catherine Hart. Did not have a happy qualifying. This was going to be a rough weekend for him. A year on from the incident in 2014 that unfortunately killed a spectator. The crash that had debris from Wyatt Jones's car go into one of the viewing mounds. Trying to shake off the cobwebs here. Spoke to media earlier in the week. He said it was going to be difficult, but at the end of the day, his job is to put down the visor on the helmet and focus on the road ahead. And he's trying to do just that. Seems like both the lead 4 teams here, Atomic Autosport and Ludwig Motorsports, largely missed the mark. Both of the Atomic Autosport cars failed to get out of Q1 yesterday. Oliver Germain, his first race in Champ Car in 11 years. He's getting up to speeds with the difficulties of racing here in Champ Car in 2025. Last time he was here was 2014. A long time ago. 11 years in F1. But here we are. Sakurauchi out in front. Porter Kelly in pursuit. Glover's gotten around Chiaro. Side by side, Kovalkiewicz and Lekti. Kovalkiewicz shuts the door. And Leon says, thank you very much. I'll slide right on through. Here comes Wessel. The second highlight racing car. Back in full-time competition here in 2025. Side by side with Kozlov. As they duke it out here for position just outside the top 10. Wessel 11th, Kozlov 12th. Koivanemi sitting in 13th position ahead of Elise Alexander. Astrid Crane in 15th. And it's Ishibashi, Catherine Hart, Wyatt Jones. Gaggle of cars here further back. That's Neri, that is Draco and Porter. Further back you see here, that's Michelin from 28th to 26th. Oliver Germain there in 27th, and 28th is Isabel Espinoza. Very stacked in front of the field. Sakurauchi trying to hold her own as we complete lap 8 here in Melbourne. Glover with a good run out of turn 2. Around this bend, now approaching turn 4, the braking zone. No dice for Glover as he tried to take on Stephanie Porter Kelly, the 3-time champion. All the wise to the shenanigans there. Both rookies up in the top 4 pretty big, especially when we talked about earlier the points format change. 25 points for first. And it's 20, 16, 13, all the way down to 1 point for 15, for 15th place. Very important to be up in the top spots. You don't really get to have a bad race now. You don't get to shrug off a bad result if you score 0 points. Expecting 2 pit stops in this race. Teams can go about 21 and 24 laps. They would, if they were trying to go one stop, they'd have to try to go 29 laps or more. And that does not seem viable based on what we've seen in practice on Friday. We've been surprised before. It does not seem super viable at the moment. Pressure further down the road here. That is Lekti getting clear of Leon. And well and truly clear. Late lunge there for Kovalkiewicz does not work. But Kovalkiewicz will keep Lekti at bay. Glover once again trying to make a move here into turn 4. Again, no dice, not as close compared to last lap. Looking down the field here, this is the battle now for 27th place between Espinoza and Germain. The 2 historic families in very unusual places. Remember, for those that are watching that are maybe unfamiliar, the trophy at the Indianapolis 500 is named the Germain Espinoza Trophy for a reason. The Germain family, the builders of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Espinoza family, the conquerors of the Brickyard. Throughout history, that family has more wins at the Brickyard than any other family at any other event in history. They're battling now for 27th place. Draco passed by Porter. And both of the Atomic Autosport cars, those red machines, sitting well down from where they expected that they would be here to kick off the season. It's not been fun for Atomic Autosport. It's been very much a serving of a championship hangover as Wyatt Jones looks to get around Catherine Hart. Drag race down the home straightaway, and Jones gets clear before the braking zone. Very important. Didn't want to have to be outbroke by Catherine Hart, and Wyatt Jones picks up another spot. Trying to surge forward. He qualified 19th. Pre-race today said he kind of made a couple of mistakes. He was in his own head in qualifying. Didn't drive the way he normally would have driven. And you see trouble. Car wounded. That is Kenosha with trouble trying to get around the racetrack and stay out of the way. Staying far to the outside lane. As long as Kenosha can make it back to the pit lane, they will leave it green. If the car becomes stricken on the racetrack, they will have to throw a safety car period out to retrieve that car. Porter Kelly has gotten around Sakurauchi as we were going through the field. New race leader is Stephanie Porter Kelly. Sakurauchi led the first 10 laps. Lap 11 will belong to the three-time champion. After preseason testing, Porter Kelly loved the new engine package Chevrolet was providing. Expected to be firing out of the gate quickly and has done so. The rookies side by side once again, and once again it is Sakurauchi, the wiser of the two. Here comes Kovalkiewicz to attack the 15 of Chiaro. Only it will not turn out to much as it bottles up Leon and Lechty as well, a pair of former world champions. 34 and the 78 as well. Several world champions in this field. Porter Kelly, three-time world champion. Benjamin Porter, obviously the defending world champion. Leon, former 2021 world champion. Kenny Kenosha, whose race has come to a close, 2022 world champion. Nicole Lechty, 2023 world champion. This stat padding, Andrew Draco, two-time world champion, 2020 and 2017 for him. Sakurauchi and Chiaro, the two rookies in the field, racing the full campaign. They have been going tooth and nail, fighting so far the entire beginning of this race. And it's checked up and let the top two sort of get away here. That is Porter Kelly and Glover out in front. And here come the rookies once again battling down the front straightaway. And again, it's going to be Sakurauchi that gets clear here. But Chiaro, again, smart enough to not let Kovalkiewicz get a way through. Very smart, but I think Sakurauchi has burned up a lot of her tires trying to be in the race lead early on in this race. Led 10 laps. But I think now those Firestones are beginning to scream from the tire wear and the tire temperature here. Remember, it is early spring in the Northern Hemisphere. It is early fall. We have just gotten through the dog days of summer here in Australia, so it is warm. It is pretty warm here in Melbourne. Obviously scenic, being just 2 miles away from Melbourne's downtown district and about a mile away from Port Phillip and the Pacific Ocean. Looking to see, it looks like Kenosha's day has come to a close. Waiting to see what the report is on the 32 car's day, coming to an early end. Hazel Leon, Kenosha's teammate, battling with Lechty and now having to focus on the car behind Simona Leroux. And they're confirming it was an engine failure for Kenosha that ended her day before we even got to lap 15. Also trying to find a way around that of Kozlov, the 3 car. Porter Kelly has taken the clean air in the real estate and has said goodbye. 2.3 seconds, the gap between Porter Kelly and Glover. And the ailing tires of Sakurauchi is putting the entire rest of the field behind here as they duke it out further back. Leon trying to stay ahead of LaRoe. Kozlov now in 9th. David Wessel up in 10th. But everyone moving positions here. Wyatt Jones, he is on the climb here. 25 car, he is now up in the 15th position, looking at 14th if he can try to muster it around Cameron Jackson. The top 10 would be very efficient for him. He's in the last points paying position at the moment as things sit. So he would score a point in this position, but obviously 1 point compared to 25 would, or compared to even just 10 points, would be a lot different. Here comes the battle. Asher Crane going to try to challenge. And Wyatt Jones stays in the correct lane, stays on the rubbered in groove, and holds on to that 15th spot. But you're going to see that a lot more here, especially this season, as everyone gets to terms like it's top 15 now. If you're 16th to 28th, you don't score any points unless you have led a lap off sequence, unless you scored poor position and just kind of end up in bad luck. Like, unless you have a bonus point, you are in trouble 16th on down, not scoring points. So the mid-pack battle is going to be a lot more intense as this runs along, especially as everyone gets themselves used to that. Cameron Jackson, somewhat used to that. Spent time in Formula One back where they only scored points to the top 10. And really just trying to keep touch with Cameron Jackson here. Good run here from Kozlov. Will it be enough to get to that of LaRoe? I don't think so, because here comes David Wessel with an even bigger head of steam in that AutoNation machine. Alexander was trying to get around Koivanemi. Won't do so. Will lose a spot to Ishibashi out of turn 2. Chiara trying to battle back there on Kovalkiewicz after losing that 4th spot. Still side by side as they meander on down. But Kovalkiewicz will have the position pretty well in clear. Here comes the battle between Leon and Leckie again. Leon ends up the benefactor there, but now they're on the longest run of flat-out straightaway in the lap, side-by-side, former teammates. And Leckie stays ahead through 9 and 10 on this exchange. 14 turns per lap here in Melbourne. Kovalkiewicz trying to find a way around Sakurauchi now. Thought about diving it in late there in turn 13. Instead, we'll have to try to set it up here. It has a really good run out of turn 14. That is what tire management looks like. Kovalkiewicz put the power down and will clear Sakurauchi before we get to turn 1. Absolutely outstanding stuff there. We talk about tire management being so important. That's why. As Kozlov tried to make us position, but instead loses 2. Kovalkiewicz now able to find clean air and let her rip. And that's exactly what she's trying to do right now in that Tequila Patron 96 for Arrowhead Racing. Can Dodge get a podium in its open wheel racing debut. Vilkevich said the honor would be fantastic in pre-race this morning. He's had a lot of fun working with the Dodge engineers during the off-season. So this was the most hands-on she has felt in her Champ Car career. And right now it's showing. Third is where she sits at the moment. Sakurauchi now down to fourth. The rookie started first and third here, and they are slowly falling down the order. Their rookie inexperience beginning to show their hands. Different tire compound in play here in 2025. They adjusted both the alternate and the primary being used today, as it will in 2 weeks in Shanghai. Krapschi and Chiaro sitting fourth and fifth now at the moment. Leon, Lechty, Leroux, Wessel, and Koivanemi round out your top 10 here. It is a bit of a gaggle here once you look further back. Side by side, Jackson Jones. And Jackson's going to lose maybe 2 spots. He's going to try to rally back around the outside of Astrid Crane, and does so. But Wyatt Jones grabbed a position there while he had it. Move him up another position. And now his pursuit is firmly on Artyom Kozlov and Elise Alexander. As those two battle in front of him, he is gaining quickly too. Tyler becoming more and more of a premium at the moment. Stephanie Porter-Kelly looking absolutely sensational at the front of the field at the moment. Gap is opened up here. 4 seconds the gap. Vilkevich just now getting clear of Sakurauchi further behind with a lot more time to gain. Here comes this battle once again. Chiaro and Sakurauchi. And it's not going to work out for Chiaro this time, but hey, Leon couldn't capitalize. Leon understeered. Leon understeered in turn 1 and almost lost a spot to Lechty in an inverse to what we normally see. Had the preferred line and just couldn't do anything with it. And so Chiaro defends once again pretty well. This rookie battle is going to be very fascinating to see how it all plays out between Sakurauchi and Chiaro. Both rookies making a splash immediately here in Melbourne. Long race, long season. But a promising start for those two. There's Leon, Lechty, and Leroux. All scrambling for 6th or better. Lechty makes a look at Leon. No dice. That was third turn 11. Car down pit lane. Who was that down pit lane? It looks like that is Wessel. Wessel, the first one down pit lane, a couple laps early from the window that we were expecting to see. But it's still safely in the 2-stop territory, importantly, as we start lap 20. So he's thinking undercut here, get some fresh tires on the car, and try to rip up some laps while there's clean air. He's going to be pitting in clean air, which is importantly, he'll be coming out of pit lane with a clean racetrack. That is vital, especially in this midfield battle. You're going to see a lot of strategy changes here, especially. A lot more drivers thinking about clean air on the road courses instead of it just being grab the spots you can grab. Now it's about, okay, let's think a little bit longer term. Let's think a little bit down the road here. See Wyatt Jones, he has gotten around that of Kozlov. Alexander next up on the docket for him. He is in the 12th position. Obviously, Wessel coming down pit lane affects that a little bit, but he is moving forward on his own volition. From 19th to 12th at the moment is how things sit. As Leroux gets around a former teammate and moves further into the top 10. Car down pit lane is Glover. Porticali stays out. Kovalkiewicz stays out. As does Chiaro, who has gotten around Sakurauchi. Burn up Firestones, beginning to finally pay a price for number 2. Porticali right now on an island by herself. She is vibing. You see David Wessel, very important. His pit stop that he made also put him out in clean air. More cars down pit lane. That is Jones. That is Alexander, who he's passed on the pit lane. Crane, Jackson. There's Koivanemi. There's Leroux. All of them down the pit lane. As your race leader goes through turn 11 now. Porticali on lap 21. Does she come down this lap or does she go one extra? Undercut seems to be the favor that everyone's going with, and Porticali does decide to cover off Glover this time. Here comes the 96 of Kovalkiewicz. Does she come in this time, or does she go an extra lap and try to lead a lap here? Kovalkiewicz also down pit lane. How about Chiaro? Chiaro for Lover Motorsports comes down the pit lane, and Sakurauchi, who had been asking to come down pit lane 2 laps ago, finally brought down pit lane here. It looks like a lot of the field coming down pit lane this time. Huge smorgasbord of cars coming down pit lane. Here's Glover. Round turn 12. Again, on his little island at the moment. We'll see where everyone cycles through here on this first pit stop of the afternoon. Porticali in and out. No problem there. Kovalkiewicz comes out, stays in third. Chiaro and Wessel. Chiaro beat Wessel to the apex there at turn 1 and checked him up. And the shuffling for positions has practically completed here. Isabel Espinosa swings around Evangeline Porter for position, and now locks eyes on Porter's teammate Vulicevic. Side by side, Draco and Jermaine go for the 27th spot. It is very spaced out the front of the field, so let's go ahead and break down through the field here. After the first pit stop cycle, Stephanie Porticali leads the way. Pretty outstandingly. Went through the pit stop sequence without losing the race lead. BK Glover undercut. But it was not enough to close in. Porticali and Striker Motorsports wise enough to it to cover off that strategy call. Alicia Kovalkiewicz in an island in third. Caitlin Chiaro sitting in fourth for Ludwig Motorsports. Started this race in third, still firmly in the top 5. Held off David Wessel as he was charging down into turn 1. But Wessel up to 5th for Highlight Racing. Right now the leading car for that team. Hazel Leon in 6th. Karina Sakurauchi down to 7th place as Wyatt Jones and Rachel Koivanemi battle it out for 8th. Wyatt Jones now in the top 10. After starting 19th, he's up 11 spots in this race. Simona Leroux sitting in the 10th position behind Wyatt Jones, ahead of Elise Alexander, Sakura Ishibashi in 12th. Artem Kozlov sitting in 13th, and then it's Nicole Lechty and Catherine Hart in the last points paying position. 16th is Royal Flying Cameron Jackson, ahead of Astrid Crane, Siri Lundquist, Maria Chavez. There is Brad Neri sitting in the 20th position. Shufan Jang in 21st. 22nd, Natalia Velicevic ahead of Isabel Espinoza. Evangeline Porter just battled for the last 3 spots. This is for 25th, 26th, and 27th. This is where you'll find Michelin, Draco, and Germain to round out your field, all on the lead lap. 1 retirement, Kinemitsu Kinoshita for Cat Devil Racing. Out very early. Portugal out in front. It is not particularly close. 6 seconds the gap. Portugal with that new Chevrolet engine. Again, all the engine manufacturers regulated to 800 horsepower on the road and street courses, as well as on the short ovals. So it's not a power advantage, it's a handling advantage right now. And from the V8 to the inline 4, or sorry, to the V4, a lot of weight saved. Sienna sitting in 4th, pretty comfortable at the moment. Sakurauchi, though, under pressure from Rich Koivuniemen. Both of them getting promoted from the Challenger Series. Sakurauchi for Team Impulse out of necessity with an open vacancy in that team. Koivuniemen out of undeniability, becoming the IndyCar national champion for Arrowhead Racing. Force their hand into making things happen. Here comes Wyatt Jones, though, in the conversation. He is in 9th place, running strong at the moment. See the battling further back here. Catherine Hart right now in the last points paying spot in 15th. Cameron Jackson on the last outside looking in, 16th place for him. Kozlov and Lechty battling once more. Really spread things out a little bit. Different strategies coming to light. Mike Jones had a really good long run car in that first stint. Only so much you can do here. Once you're underway here, you can't do a lot to suspension pieces. A lot of it comes down to just the front and rear wing angles. Wyatt Jones, on that pit stop, requested no changes to his car. He said the car felt a lot better on race trim than what it did in qualifying. Additional radio said from Wyatt Jones, he believes if a caution does come out in this race, they've got a top 5 car. Side by side, Sakurauchi and Koivanemi. And it will be Sakurauchi holding on this time. Wyatt Jones, does he force the issue? Oh, 100% he does. He'll grab 8th spot right back from Sakurauchi, from Koivanemi, with Sakurauchi now in front, looking at the 25 in the mirror. Koivanemi trying to battle to get that 8th spot back. Look at this. Look at this. This battle for second has closed up. A mistake from Glover, it looks like, has pulled Kovalkiewicz right back into the conversation for that second spot. Glover's lost a lot of time. He is now almost 8 seconds back from that of Stephanie Porter-Kelly. Chiara staying ahead of David Wessel there in 4th. On an island is Hazel Leon. And then you have this battle. Wyatt Jones looking for some clean air with Love to just sort of set sail, looking at 7th place in front of him. Sakurauchi right now just trying to hang on. Tires wore out quickly in that first stint when Sakurauchi was trying to hold on to the race lead. Now that we're talking about 7th and 8th, I do wonder, especially with the adjustments made on that car, if they have been able to do enough to help Karina really try to hold on to that. For the forward here, the gap, the race here has sort of plateaued a little bit. Glover beginning to try to turn on the jets again. Keep an eye, especially further back. Chiaro beginning to close in on this as well for what could be a battle for second, as we have crossed into the second half of the race. Leading lap 30. On lap 31 now. 28 laps to go here in Australia. Just perusing through the field. At the battles taking place across the racetrack. A huge group here from Leroux in 10th all the way down to, that is, Catherine Hart in 15th. Almost 3 wide down the front straightaway. That would have been rough. Ooh, and here goes a hard around Ishibashi. Here comes Cameron Jackson. Leckie has fallen several spots too. 78 now sitting outside the points. Crane and Chavez trying to get into the points here. Further back, the struggle continues for Michelin and for Germain. Right now, Starker Motorsports bookends the field. Portichelli feeling so comfy right now at the front of the field. Michelin sitting 26th, not having nearly the fun. Chiaro has thrown herself into this battle for the second position. Jones under pressure once again from Koivuniemen. Further down in this battle, that is for the 8th spot. A little bit of a gap down to Leroux in 9th. And then Alexander sitting in the 10th spot now. As things currently sit, I believe. No, 10th and 11th. Keep miscounting for some reason. Koivuniemen is in 9th. Wyatt Jones is in 8th. 10th is Leroux. Alexander in 11th. Up to 12th. Couple spots gained here. Catherine Hart sitting up in the 12th spot. Artyom Kozlov in 13th. Ahead of Sakura Ishibashi. Cameron Jackson back in the final points paying position here. All the battling going on through the field here. It is going to be interesting, especially at the last set of those 2 pit stops in this race is how things are scheduled up to be. We saw that from lap 18 to lap 21, which should get us, end of the pit stop sequence should get us to the end of lap 42. If that number serves us well, safely a 2-stop race. Battle in the mid-pack. This battle for 7th is sort of spread out a little bit. The accordion beginning to take effect here in this battle for 2nd as Wessel tries to throw his hat into the ring. 8 seconds is the gap. Portichelli's not pushing as much as she was either. I think you're beginning to see the precision of Portichelli, the veteran instinct of Portichelli come into play here has had the pace to really sort of put a stamp of approval on this event. Instead, it's tire management. Glover second, Kovalkiewicz third, Camyron in fourth. Is how things sit in this battle for the podium places. Camyron currently the odd one out, or for a debut in the World Series. Not bad, all things considered. Leon has set the fastest lap of the race. A 1:29.074 for Leon is how things sit. No bonus points for fastest lap, but shows that Leon's putting in some time here. Here we go. A chance maybe for Wyatt Jones at Karina Sakurauchi approaching turn 11. And Jones sends it in. No dice there. Got really ambitious and had to check up there on the braking zone. Likewise, Leroux had to get around Alexander on the outside lane to hold on to that 10th spot. I think we're going to be beginning to see now Sakurauchi's tires beginning to go away once again. Wyatt Jones pulls out from behind, looking to send it down into turn one. Oh, bad mistake there for Wyatt Jones. Gave too much room, and here it goes. Koivanemi through. Very important move made while we were focusing on the battle for 7th. Yaro's moved up to 3rd. Kovalkiewicz now in 4th, ahead of David Wessel in 5th. 6th, Hazel Leon. But this gap is closing at the front of the field in this battle for the 2nd spot. 9.3 the gap between Glover and Porter Kelly. Three-time IndyCar World Champion in her own zip code at the moment. Jones going to take back the position from Koivanemi. Straight line speed pretty strong in the Ford, but again, no dice for Wyatt Jones on the inside lane. Just trying to make something happen, and it's just not happening right now. Late on in this run. Alexander under pressure from Kozlov and Ishibashi for the 11th position. Cathcart in the last points paying spot. There's a lot of pressure trying to hold on to that through this last pit stop sequence. Again, Porter Kelly just out in front. Grabbed the race lead in that clean air and waved goodbye. Chiaro looking very closely at the gearbox of the 6 of BK Glover, trying to go maybe for 2nd place. Oh, Chiaro's got a really good run. Ford versus Toyota for 2nd. I don't think Chiaro got a good enough run early enough. No, indeed, Chiaro did not. And here comes Kovalkiewicz, and here comes Wessel. You hope that you can outbrake the car in front. You hope you can outbrake them, but the inside lane, on top of it just not being used enough, has not built up the rubber. You can see the darkened groove on the racetrack where the cars have been spending most of their time running. Being out of the groove, it's dusty, there's debris, there's marbles in that part of the racetrack. The odds stack against you when you go offline to try to make a pass like that. especially when the overspeed is not high enough. Like, you're not gaining enough. You need to be you basically need to have a chance to be alongside out of turn 14. And now Camyron down in the 5th spot as the field works to complete lap 37 here in Melbourne. Pretty straightforward race so far. Wyatt Jones, tires wearing on that 25 machine. Runs out wide as Koifanemi and Sakurauchi try to leave him behind for 7th and 8th. Further back here, that is Alexander and Leroux. Leroux in the preferred line, entering turn 1, and really pinched the door, faded down into turn 1 to prevent Alexander from having a chance. And now Alexander with a mirror full of Ishibashi and Kozlov. Ishibashi to the inside lane, trying to get around Kozlov here. And a good chance for Ishibashi to do so here. She does. Ishibashi up a spot. And Kozlov now has a mirror full of Cameron Jackson. Lecty up to 15th around Catherine Hart for the last points paying spot. Again, pit stops not far away. Porticali stayed out longer. Has the ability to stay out as long as she wants. And the pit stops come for those further back, looking for the undercut strategy. Only one retirement here in the Grand Prix of Melbourne, that being Kenoshita in the opening 12 laps here around Albert Park. Top 9 all stay out. No one bites this lap, it looks like. Yeah, no one biting so far. Very interesting to see how this all has shaken up. Everyone now trying to go a little bit longer. Which makes sense. You're trying to have the best tires as long as possible on the final stint. Got to play the numbers game a little bit. Camyron has lost touch with Wessel just a little bit. Kovalkiewicz even further back as Camyron moves back into the 4th spot. 13 seconds the gap in favor of Porticali. Here's a really good run between Wessel and Glover. Front straightaway. That's the power between the two 4-cylinder engines. It will be Glover with the advantage. But here comes Camyron back to 3rd. Goes Caitlin Camyron. Camyron to 3rd. Battle side by side. Here comes Wessel back through for 4th. Trying to hold on to that 4th spot. Does so. And Glover again staying 2nd all the way throughout. Still no drivers down the pit lane here. Checked and went through the field here. Still no one down pit lane. We're coming to complete lap 40. Porticali entering turn 11 now. Here come pit stops. Porticali did stay out. Chiaro stays out. Glover comes down pit lane. Wessel comes in. Volkevich stays out. Leon stays out. So your first decisions have been made for this final pit stop sequence. They came in with coming to 18 laps to go. No one comes in from this group. They stay out. And that could pose a problem because those two will now end up in traffic. Jones trying to find a way around Koivuniemen. Koivuniemen shuts the door out of turn one. Alexander ahead of Ishibashi. Here comes Crane battling Catherine Hart. And this is the nightmare people were worried about. Glover's going to be in traffic here for this small run. Still in pit lane is Simona Leroux. Both Wessel and Glover nose to tail, but they are in traffic. That is Draco up the road and Velicevic. Or sorry, and Porter up the road. Porticali stays out another lap. Chiaro comes down pit lane this time. Volkevich stays out. Leon stays out. And Sakurauchi has turned on the Jets pretty significantly in that number 2 for Team Impulse. Trying to open up a gap before maybe a pit stop here for the 2. Out of turn 13. Is it a pit stop? No. Goes one more lap. Koivuniemen and Jones, they do come in. How about Alexander and company? Alexander in. Jackson is in. Crane has come in. Espinoza comes in. Porter stays out. Draco stays out. Michelin and Germain come in. And then you see in free air at the moment, that is Simona Leroux, who was in 10th prior to the pit stop cycle beginning. Porticali down the pit lane. There's Kovalevich. There's Leon down pit lane. A bunch of pit stops need to happen here. What is wrong with Artyom Kozlov? Something's amiss on the 3 car. That's a flat tire. Flat tire for car 3. Trying to limp back to pit lane. That is devastating. Whoa, trouble! That was Kozlov who got clipped. I don't know if clipped Siri Lundqvist or if Lundqvist got clipped by Oh, in trouble. That is Neri in the pit wall. He has had issues. A very chaotic pit lane. What is going on here? Chavez and Velicevic have yet to come down pit lane. Porter's made her pit stop, and she is in the clear. Chiaro's now in second. Ahead of Glover, ahead of Wessel, ahead of Leon, ahead of Kovalevich. And it's not particularly close. A flat tire for Artyom Kozlov. Kozlov now rolling. Will be near the very tail end of the field as Michelin and Germain go by. Shufin Zhang out of the points as well. Same with Draco. Not the way they were hoping to start this. Brad Neri, the second retirement, misjudged pit entry. comes Chavez from the second spot, as does Velicevic. Here comes the battle for position in the top 5. That is for 4th, I do believe. Glover in 3rd. Yeah, it is for 4th, and Leon gets it. 5th is Wessel. 6th is Kovalkiewicz now. Meanwhile, Sakurauchi no longer in the conversation, at least not heavily in the conversation. It is Koivuniemen and Wyatt Jones sitting 7th and 8th. Sakurauchi down in the 9th spot. Slower pit stop there for the two. Now under the pressure from Leroux, Ishibashi, Alexander, Crane, Jackson, and Lechty, your top 15. Last spot in the points is the 78 of Lechty, ahead of Catherine Hart. Then you'll find both the Scuderia Aguila cars sitting right next to each other here. They have balanced out here. This fight further back. Michelin side by side with Draco. Two veterans of the sport making it work through 9 and 10. Typically that ends in disaster. Not this time, although Michelin ends up missing out. The gap 17.3 between 1st and 2nd, but Caitlin Chiaro started this race 3rd, has not been out of the top 5 under racing conditions once in this race. Has to worry about this group of cars, these veterans trying to close in on that gap here. But Chiaro's got one benefit, and that is track position. Through 6th in a line there down the front straightaway. You saw that from Glover to Kovalkiewicz. They're trying to catch up to Chiaro. Chiaro running a little bit faster though. 130.3 versus 130.7. And if this group continues to battle out amongst themselves, it could be a problem that they may not be able to catch up to the rookie. Jones 130.0 compared to the 130.2 of Koivuniemen, trying to close in the gap. Sakurauchi pulling away from the battle for 10th, which is now Leroux and Ishibashi pretty well on their own. And this is why 5 cars under a blanket for the last 4 point-laying spots. Catherine Hart currently outside the points looking in. But they are side by side. Now going towards turn 11. Lined up single file there just in time for the braking zone. Crane now up in the 12th position, I'm not mistaken. Yes, 12th. Ahead of Jackson. With Alexander now in 14th and Lechty holding on to that 15th place like her life depends on it. Makes a late move down the front straightaway. Very smart move. Close to run Catherine Hart. Avoided being under siege for that 15th spot. Car was getting a little bit smart. Camyron running a little bit slower now than those behind. 30.9 compared to 31.2 last time around. Camyron also having the ability to nurse those tires with the track position advantage. Camyron's been hard to pass today. Car in pit lane, the 97, Siri Lundqvist. Likely not finishing here in Melbourne. 11 laps to go. Glover holds off Leon. Jones trying to close in on Koivanemi. Sakurauchi on an island now in the top 10, sitting 9th. Rowe and Ishibashi, 10th and 11th right now. Chevrolet versus Honda. Down the front straightaway. And that Chevrolet V4 power doing just enough to keep LaRoe ahead of the 33. Catherine Hart 16th ahead of Maria Chavez and Isabel Espinoza. All three of them outside the points looking in this opening weekend of Champ Car World Series competition. A reminder for everyone watching here on ABN, no World Series action next weekend. It's the Challenger Series opening their season up on the streets of St. Petersburg. Next Sunday, coverage begins at noon Eastern Time. Right here on ABN. Catherine Hart takes me to the inside there for turn 11. No dice. Didn't spend time to seriously commit to it. You see, there is the 97 of Lundqvist back out on the racetrack, but 4 laps down. Not with a chance of scoring any points in the slightest. Devastating for Artyom Kozlov, also out of the points conversation here. Flat tire really hitting the 3 car at home. Camyron approaching turn 9. Well adrift of Stephanie Porter-Kelly. 21 seconds the gap. Chasing a 4th IndyCar World title is Stephanie Porter-Kelly. The age of 37. She turns 38 this year. Still a few years in the tank. The new generation is coming. Caitlin Chiaro in second on debut in the World Series. Not a bad effort. 4/10 off of Porter-Kelly's pace last lap. Glover just a little bit faster that time. But it is negligible with 9 laps to go. Glover sitting in the last podium spot. Started this race second. Would love to have hardware to take home from Australia. David Wessel, his first race back as a full-time driver away from the Phantom Motors system. Racing here for Highlight Racing. New lease on life for the New Jersey native. fifth ahead of Alicia Kovalkiewicz. Koivu doing her best to keep Wyatt Jones at bay. They are mirroring each other lap time-wise at the moment. Karina Sakurauchi nowhere close to battle for that 7th spot anymore. But also not under danger of losing 9th from Simona Leroux. This battle for 10th. Still intense in the closing laps. Actually closing in under braking there. Everyone vying for those last positions. Alexander now 15th, last car in the points paying positions. Catherine Hart, both of the Aguila cars of Chavez and Espinoza, as well as Evangeline Porter, your defending IndyCar World Champion. Outside looking in, but in this conversation for the last spot. And here comes Catherine Hart for the 15th spot across the line. Clears by the start-finish line. And the Aussie, on home soil, is back in the points. Still 26 cars left running here. And you see just behind these tail-end lead lap cars is your race leader, who has been untouchable. Porter Kelly, not the fast lap in the race. That still belongs to Hazel Leon. But consistency and precision. And managing a changing car, a changed tire compound. In the uninterrupted momentum. One 131.1s for the entire 2nd through 4th conversation. Wessel fastest, 130.3. Kovalkiewicz also faster than 2nd place, 130.9. Fastest laps right now are sitting in this group right now. Outside of Porter Kelly, who's running outstanding lap times, 130.3 and 130.4 for Wyatt Jones and Rachel Koivu respectively. They are in hot pursuit of each other in these final 8 laps. Coming to 6 laps to go. Wyatt Jones really good on the throttle there. Down this straightaway. He's going to make a move. Got to time it right. But turn 9 and 10 is not it. Realistically, you just want to be close. Try to get a really good run out of turn 14. Wyatt's going to make a look. Ooh. Got right to the door. Forces Koivu to use all of the exit curb there out of turn 11. I think that's the play I would have made, but it's 7th versus 8th at the moment for Wyatt Jones. Car in the conversation. Glover back in that run for 2nd. Porter Kelly still untouchable for the race lead, but lap traffic up the road could become a factor in these last 6 laps. Glover has closed in on Chiaro. Coming to 5 laps to go. We're just trying to hold on to a debut podium. Saw the pass happen. Glover used momentum and just blitzed around the 15 at Chiaro. Chiaro under pressure now for third from Leon. Trying to hang on for dear life, coming to 4 laps to go. With lap traffic. It's going to be her teammate if she does. 25th place, Matthias Michelin. I think Porticelli is pacing herself just enough to not have to deal with that lap traffic until the very end. Leon looked to the inside there. Chiaro held off in that battle for third. Glover beginning to try to pull away. Leon's really on the gearbox there, Chiaro. Russell now under the wing of Leon. What are we going to see here? Chiaro staying in that third spot, the last step on the podium, trying to cling to it. Again, there's racing further on the field, looking at the bottom edge of the points at the moment. Catherine Hart's the last points paying position. And there is now a gap. Alexander's held off Chavez, Espinoza, and Porter. But unfortunately, 16th also does not score points at the moment. Here you go. Chiaro slow. Out of the corners. And through goes Leon for that third and final spot on the podium. I don't think Chiaro's got a lot of response. We'll see. Chiaro bet on herself. Was part of the Arrowhead Racing Driver Academy. Won the Academy Series title last year. The option was either would move up as a third car to Ludwig Motorsports or jump into the Challenger Series car that Rachel Coyne won the national title in last year. She elected to skip the Challenger Series altogether. Missing out on a podium first race will sting, but sitting in an almost guaranteed top 6 position as things sit. Kovalkiewicz in 6th in that Arrowhead Racing car. A good barometer for where Chiaro could have been. Sitting ahead of David Wessel, who's also found a lifeline. in the World Series. I'd say that investment that highlight racing is made in Wessel. Already pretty fruitful, sitting in the points in the top 5. White flag is in the air for your race leader, already out of turn 2. We are on the last lap here in Melbourne. As the white flag waves with 1 lap to go, which means 1 more set of opportunities for Wyatt Jones to try to make a pass here for the 7th spot. From 19th on the grid, he's up 11 spots, would love to go up 12. He's only going to have 1 more set of opportunities after this as they take the white flag for the final lap. Karina Sakurauchi in the 9th position on an island, able to just bring it home. And then this gaggle of cars, 10th on back. They'll come across the white flag with nothing locked in stone. Alexander makes a move here on Catherine Hart. Is it going to be enough? Into the braking zone. Not quite. How about Chavez? Can Chavez find a way through? Not cleanly. Porter Kelly will not lap her teammate. She will win at Melbourne. Stephanie Porter Kelly back on top here at Albert Park. Battle for second closed up, but it's not close enough for Leon to have a legitimate chance. It does not appear unless Glover makes a mistake. Through 13 and 14 for the final time in this battle for second. Glover driving defensively. Will do enough. He'll come across the line in second. Hazel Leon in third. And keep the applause going. Caitlin Chiaro, the rookie for Lubbock Motorsports, 4th place on debut. Ahead of the returning David Wessel, who rounds out your top 5. Rachel Koivanami, the reigning IndyCar National Champion, holds off the 3-time Cup Series champion Wyatt Jones, finishes 8th. Behind the 95. Karina Sakurauchi will round out the top 10 here. Sorry, round out in 9th place. Top 10's going to be rounded out by Simone Leroux out of the final corner. Sakura Ishibashi in a close 11th. Then Cameron Jackson, Nicole Lechty, Astra Crane, and Catherine Hart holds on to the last points-paying position, 15th. As the rest of the field finishes. Wild, wild, wild stuff. You see Stephanie Porter Kelly, your race winner here in Australia. 47 laps led for the former 3-time champion, looking for a 4th title. Two retirements, Brad Neri and Kuni Kinoshita. Retirements in this race. As you see the field making their way back down towards pit lane to bring this race to a close. Stephanie Porter Kelly victorious here in Australia to kick things off. Chevrolet victorious in Australia. That new V4 engine turns out to be a treat. Not the fastest, and it's not universal. 2 Chevrolets in the top 5. David Wessel in 5th. Only 3 in the top 10. Simone Leroux down in 10th. So it's not quite cut and dry. I think Stephanie Borticali was just that in tune with the racetrack here this weekend that once clean air was obtained, it was just insurmountable. Insanity here from Australia. A wild race. But we're underway now in the Verizon Champ Car World Series season. Thank you for joining us here on ABN for the Verizon Champ Car World Series. We're off next weekend. It'll be the Challenger Series in play in the streets of St. Petersburg. The World Series will be back in 2 weeks for the Grand Prix of Shanghai. On behalf of everyone here for ABN, for Horizon Corporation, for Verizon, and the Champ Car World Series, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe and stay healthy. We'll see you next time right here on ABN. So long, everybody.